Welcome to Coaching with Confidence and Care podcast, inspired by common topics that arise in coach training, mentoring, and supervision. I'm Dr. Lubadia Samidze, the founder of Upthink Coaching. I'm an active coach trainer, mentor, and supervisor. If you're listening, you're likely on a journey to step into your fullest capacity as a coach. I hope this podcast contributes to your journey. In this episode, I want to talk about creating a smooth session flow that strikes a good balance between going deep into meaningful topics, yet staying aligned with the session goal. What do I mean by that? You know it when you see it, or when you experience it, either as a coach or maybe even as a client. Some sessions have a smooth, organic, and at the same time spontaneous flow, what we call a dance in the moment. It's rich and deep and spacious, and you can see how the conversation evolves and unwraps and leads to the outcomes that the client desires. And there are coaching sessions that feel a little bit scattered and fragmented. Despite some insightful questions and spot-on observations from a coach, a session may sound a little bit chaotic as a whole. It may feel like a coach is almost rushing through the session, trying to cover as many interesting points that they hear instead of seeing the conversation as a whole. I often use a metaphor of a Christmas tree here. You know how a Christmas tree has many lights that flash on and off? There's a bright sparkle here and there's a bright sparkle there. Our attention is naturally drawn to each flash. But if we focus only on those individual bursts of light, we might miss the entire symphony they create. By the time the lights stop flashing, the session may be over, and the session goal might remain unfulfilled. When I address a session flow with my mentees, together we may explore some reasons or some common barriers to a smooth, seamless flow. First of all, maybe I can share some examples of coaching scenarios when addressing a session flow may be valuable. For example, a coach may get stuck in a client's story, and the deeper they go, the more the coach struggles to bring the focus back to the client's goals without feeling abrupt. Maybe when a client goes off on a tangent, a coach hesitates to interrupt, and then they discover that they lost control of the session direction, and it went too far from what was originally discussed. Maybe when a client brings up something unexpected, a coach struggles to integrate that in their session and keep the session cohesive at that. Another example I observed is about working with a client who has multiple goals or challenges. The client finds it hard to prioritize and get coached around just one theme. Actually, one of my earlier podcast episodes addresses this topic, so look for episode 3, where we explore what to do when a client brings a session topic that may be too big for a single session. Finally, some coaches say they find it difficult to get the right balance between focusing on supporting the client to get to the session goal versus going deeper on specific topics. When I hear all these stories from coaches or observe these situations in their sessions, to me, I guess there are a few things in common between all these examples. And one of the things that comes to mind first is that there might be lack of trust. Of course, some trust is present, and it enables coaches to do their work. What I'm talking about is a possible lack of deeper trust. We often say that trust in coaching is threefold. It's a deeper trust in the coaching process and the power of this special space, a deeper trust in the client, and a deeper trust of a coach in themselves. For example, a coach may think, oh, it's not going well, or I'm not doing the right thing, or the client has multiple challenges. Will they be able to handle all of those? Are we addressing the right ones? And at those moments, they're kind of putting a not okay label on either themselves or the session flow or the client, which may cause a disconnect from the session flow. When a coach's trust in one of those elements is shaken, it is indeed difficult to see what to do next. It's difficult to stay flexible, open, and curious because there's a kind of an inner alarm going off. What else could be a possible barrier to the session flow if not trust? In some of the mentor coaching conversations, we discovered that it could be about a coach focusing more on the formal process of coaching. In other words, a coach starts to serve the process instead of serving the person, their client. And they also make their client serve the process. But great coaching is a lot more than just a process. It's a partnership and a relationship. Be present, let go of perfection, and focus on truly seeing and hearing your client. Develop inner acceptance of everything that happens in your coaching sessions. It's important that you remember to partner with your client. You can always ask your client, where would you like to go from here to arrive at our destination? Let the client shape the flow and trust their sense of direction. Powerful coaching isn't about the next question. It's largely about the space you create, the relationship you create. Scattered sessions often come from scattered energy. If your energy is strong and focused and consistent, and there's clear direction to your energy, then sessions will be more focused as well. Another piece of the puzzle could be that a coach may not even see a session as a whole piece. They may find it difficult to find some connecting points, and they may not go back to the original session agreement or ask the client to make some connections. Let's look at how it works. Say you start a session by asking the client what they bring to the session, and if you do a good work establishing a coaching agreement, both you and the client would have a shared understanding of what the conversation is about, why that is important, and what exactly they want to get out of the conversation. Remember to make connections with the client's life situation. How will those outcomes impact the client's situation in a positive way? In other words, help them think about how they're going to apply something that they get from this session to make a shift in a positive direction towards their desired situation in real life. After you've carefully and collaboratively set up the boundaries of today's conversation in a coaching agreement, trust that everything that a client says in the session could somehow be related to the session outcome the client wants to get. Our job is to remain curious and inquire about how that serves the purpose of our conversation today. As a client is sharing their thoughts and reflections, they may not be even talking to you. They may be talking to themselves, trying to figure out what is really going on and trying to make sense out of the story in their head. By remaining curious, being okay with all the different pieces that are coming, and trusting that the client can figure it out, we can help them see this picture as a whole. If we keep in mind that there is wholeness in their story, it may be easier for us to put the pieces together or help them put the pieces together and help them develop a holistic understanding of their situation. So what do we do with all those emerging insights during the session? Insights are often like butterflies. When a client shares an insight, it's very tempting to catch it or follow it whenever it flutters. But here's the thing, insights by themselves aren't always transformative. There are moments of clarity, yes, but they need to be integrated into the broader narrative of the session to truly stick. So, how do you avoid chasing them? It starts with grounding yourself in your role as a coach. And your role is not just to collect those insights, it's to help your clients connect them. Insights that are disconnected from the context or the purpose or the direction may feel exciting in the moment, but they don't always lead to lasting change or a bigger understanding of the situation. As a result, in a session, you may find yourself chasing different butterflies, but forgetting what is it that you wanted to do about those butterflies. I often talk about intentionality. A smooth, cohesive session doesn't just happen, it's cultivated through presence and intentionality. My observation is, when a coach is not distracted and knows what their role is, it's easier for them to create a flow. If they have a strong coaching agreement, and if they are in alignment with a client in regard to what their client wants to achieve and what it looks like and how to measure it, that will help to provide the flow. Another thing that really helps Maybe letting go of urgency. You don't have to respond to everything immediately. There is space for everything in your session. And a client's insight is not necessarily like a snowflake that's going to melt and disappear. Maybe it's like a butterfly. Maybe it'll come back. When an insight arises, let it land fully. And you can use certain phrases. You can use special phrases if you want. Something like, "It sounds like a powerful realization. How does it tie back to what you wanted to explore today?" Questions like this can help you shift the focus from the insight as a standalone moment to its place in the bigger picture. I like to view a session flow as a string of pearls, where every pearl is unique and pretty, yet they're linked with a string to create order and a complete piece. And by pearls, I mean meaningful moments of a session. Maybe it's a deep question, maybe it's a moment of silence, maybe it's an insight a client uncovers, maybe it's an observation that is spot on. And the string is the through line. It's a thread of curiosity, focus, and purpose, the agreement that you hold for the session. And when a person comes to you to discuss a topic, to get coached on something, they may feel that they have all those beautiful pearls, but the pearls are all over the place, And they want you to help them weave the pearls together, ensuring that they get a sense of integration rather than fragmentation. And remember that you don't have to be the one and only person taking care of the flow. Coaching is a partnership after all. So as you move through the session, check in with the thread and ask your client something like, how does this moment connect to what came before? What is the next natural step from here? If something feels like it doesn't quite fit, a butterfly moment, invite the client to think about how it aligns with what feels most important today in the session. This can keep the session anchored in purpose. Trust that your intention to hold the thread, combined with your capacity for self-discovery, will create a natural flow. You don't have to force the pearls onto the string, but you are there to hold the string and to help your client as they place their pearls on it. Well, I've used a lot of metaphors today in this episode. I guess my goal here was to share my way of perceiving it. At the end of the day, it's easy to get caught up in doing it right or having to do it right. So I don't really want to limit you. Each session is in a way a playground. Once we've agreed on the general rules of the game, we can play in that space however we like. At the same time, we understand the boundaries of the space for each particular session, and those boundaries can be extended as long as everyone agrees. It doesn't happen chaotically or randomly or because of some assumptions though. All the changes are based on very clear agreements with our clients. The coach's ability to establish agreements and alignment and partnership with a client is part of that string that can hold the pearls together. When you start practicing this more intentionally, you'll develop an intuitive sense for this balance. A flow where you're not chasing, not forcing, but you're co-creating something seamless and deeply meaningful and aligned with what your client wanted to achieve in the conversation. So that's all from me. I'd be thrilled to hear what strategies have been working for you, so don't hesitate to reach out and share your insights. If you believe this episode could benefit other coaches, feel free to spread the word on your social media and tag me on LinkedIn so that we can connect there too. If you've got a burning question or a topic you'd like me to explore in a future episode, let me know. For those seeking to elevate their coaching skills, head over to Upthink Coaching's website. We offer programs for both new and seasoned coaches alongside mentoring and supervision support. It's www.upthinkcoaching.com. Thanks for spending your time with me today. In our next episode, we'll explore how to manage emotions when you feel a client may be disappointed with your coaching session. Make sure to tune in. It's going to be fun. Look forward to connecting with you next time.